on here, so y'all can think I'm a.
man.
That ain't fair, nigga.
Hey,
I'm on EBT, bro.
hey.
That's wild.
A new clip started circulating online. It was only a few seconds long, but that was enough. In the frame, you can see Young Thug standing in the corner of a crowded backstage area. Across from him is Chris Brown. Voices rise, hands move, the air feels tight. Nobody's smiling. Nobody's joking. It looks real. Within an hour, the video was everywhere. New footage of Young Thug and Chris Brown in heated moment goes viral. That headline took over Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and every hip-hop blog in the game. Millions of people were replaying the same 10-second clip, trying to read lips, trying to find clues, trying to figure out what really went down. But this wasn't just a random argument between two stars. To understand why this hit so hard, you have to rewind. Because the bond between Thug and Breezy has always been deeper than music and a lot more complicated. Back in 2020, when the world was locked down, two artists decided to shake things up. Young Thug and Chris Brown linked up for a surprise joint mixtape called Slime and BG. 13 tracks. Two superstars. One goal to remind the world what chemistry really sounds like. The project was an instant hit. The single Go Crazy exploded, climbing the Billboard Hot 100, going 4 times platinum and collecting more than 1 billion streams. It wasn't just a song, it was a moment. Everywhere you went, from car speakers to TikTok dances, that beat was playing. It was energy, color, and confidence rolled into one track. Behind the success, though, was loyalty. Thug and Breezy weren't just collaborators, they respected each other's grind. When Thug faced legal heat later on, the 2022 RICO case that turned his world upside down, Chris was one of the few people who publicly showed support. He didn't stay silent. He posted free YSL, sent love in interviews, and kept Thug's name alive when others looked away. That meant something. So when Thug finally came home in 2025, the first thing he talked about was moving differently. He wanted peace. He wanted purpose. He wanted to give back. He started charities, hosted community events in Atlanta, and told fans he was focused on legacy now, not headlines. Everything seemed calm until another story shook the internet. Enter Kevin McCall. Once a major writer and collaborator for Chris Brown, Kevin sat down for a long podcast interview in October 2025. What was supposed to be a simple conversation turned emotional fast. Halfway through, Kevin broke down in tears. He pulled an EBT card out of his wallet, talking about how hard life had gotten. He said he hadn't seen his kids in years. He said he just wanted the $25,000 he believed he was owed for 4 songs. It was raw, painful, and human. That clip went viral instantly. Millions of views, thousands of comments, everyone talking. Some people felt sympathy, others said business is business. But everyone agreed, the video hit a nerve. The next day, Young Thug did something unexpected. He went on Twitter and posted, "Kevin McCall, hit me bro, I'll give you the $25K you need. I know CB would too, he's just busy sometimes." It was a gesture of respect, a public offer to help someone down on his luck. No shade, no clout chase, just empathy. But social media doesn't do quiet. Within hours, blogs were twisting the tweet into drama. Is Thug calling out Chris Brown? Thug says he'll pay Kevin McCall himself. Headlines everywhere, comments flooding in, fans choosing sides, and that's when Chris Brown posted his own story. It was short, but icy. Remember this, you can't walk across a burnt bridge, and you know what's funnier than a troll? A broke one. The internet lost its mind. Was that about Kevin? Was that about Thug? Nobody knew for sure, but the timing was impossible to ignore. Suddenly, people who had called each other brothers were now being painted as rivals. That's what makes the new viral footage hit so different. It isn't just tension, it's history. The video itself doesn't show punches or chaos. It shows emotion, 2 men who clearly care but don't agree. Thug's voice low, firm, Chris leaning forward, intense. People in the background trying not to move, not to draw attention. 10 seconds that feel like 10 minutes. Within hours, analysts were breaking it down like a sports play. Frame-by-frame replays, lip-reading guesses. Some said Thug was explaining the Kevin McCall situation. Others thought it was about new business moves, rumors that Thug wanted to launch a YSL X Breezy tour that got postponed. Nobody knows for sure. What's clear is that something real was being said in that room. And that's why fans can't stop watching. Because this isn't just celebrity gossip. It's a reminder of how fast loyalty can turn fragile in the music world, how money, business, and pride can twist even the strongest friendship. People forget how long these two have been connected. Their first link-up goes all the way back to 2014 when Thug was just beginning to explode out of Atlanta. Chris saw the hunger and gave him his first big stage co-sign. Over the next decade, they built a catalog together, features, shows, behind-the-scenes collabs. When you heard a Chris Brown hook over a Thug beat, it just felt right. That's why fans are hoping this isn't the end. They've seen the chemistry, they've seen the loyalty. They've also seen how pride and miscommunication can burn bridges that take years to rebuild. And the truth is, both of these men have survived bigger storms. Chris Brown knows what it's like to live under a spotlight that never turns off. He spent nearly 20 years fighting for his place in music, while critics tried to define him by controversy. Through all that, he kept delivering hits. From Loyal to Under the Influence, from arenas to sold-out tours, the man kept moving. Young Thug knows struggle in a different way, from street life to stardom, from RICO courtrooms to redemption speeches. Coming home in 2025, he said he wanted to rewrite his story. He wanted peace. But peace is hard to find when the world watches every move you make. So when the footage of that heated moment leaked, the internet did what it always does. It picked sides. Team Thug, Team Breezy. Memes, tweets, fan edits, full YouTube breakdowns. Everyone had an opinion. But behind all the noise, there's something bigger going on. A conversation about how fame and friendship mix and how easily they can clash. The thing about the internet is it doesn't wait for context. It doesn't care about who was really right or wrong. It just runs with whatever looks the most explosive. And that's exactly what happened here. Within 24 hours, the clip of Young Thug and Chris Brown racked up more than 12 million views. Different angles started popping up. Someone posted slow motion footage with captions saying, "Chris says, you played me, bro." Another post claimed, Thug replies, "It wasn't even about you." Nobody knew if any of that was true, but that didn't stop the world from talking about it. The hashtag started trending. Thug vs Breezy go crazy again. Liz slime and beef. And just like that, a brotherhood built over music started to look like another public feud. But those who really follow hip-hop knew this wasn't just about words. It was about trust and how fast it can fall apart in this game. To understand why that trust mattered so much, you have to go back to 2022, when Thug was arrested on those RICO charges that made headlines around the world. That case didn't just shake the rap industry, it froze it. Half of Atlanta's music scene went quiet overnight. People didn't know who was going to get pulled in next. Through all that, Chris Brown didn't hide. He didn't unfollow, didn't delete posts, didn't switch up. He showed love when it wasn't convenient. That meant everything to Thug. So imagine how Thug must have felt when he came home ready to make peace, and suddenly the same person who showed love now looked like he was taking shots online. That's what fans think might have sparked the tension we saw on video. Still, people close to both camps said the same thing. This wasn't hate, it was frustration. Two men, both proud, both leaders, both used to being in control. Sometimes when energy like that collides, it doesn't stay quiet. The next few days after the footage dropped were chaos. Blog headlines flipped every hour.
Thug speaks out.
Chris responds, except neither of them actually said anything. Both artists went silent. No posts, no interviews, just quiet. And that silence said more than words ever could. Because when two artists like that stop talking, it usually means there's more going on behind the scenes than anyone knows. Some insiders hinted that a meeting might have already happened, that mutual friends tried to calm things down. People close to YSL said Thug wasn't angry, he was disappointed. Meanwhile, folks in Breezy's circle said Chris wasn't mad, he just felt betrayed by how the story spun out of control. That's the problem with fame, everyone's always watching, and once the cameras are rolling, it's almost impossible to take something back. What makes this whole situation even more interesting is the history behind the music business itself. Because this kind of conflict, artists falling out after a hit, it happens all the time. Money, credit, miscommunication, ego. It's the same pattern that's been running hip-hop for decades. Back in the early 2000s, producers, songwriters, and artists would clash over who did what. One missed check, one missing name on a credit line. Suddenly, years of friendship disappear overnight. That's what made Kevin McCall's emotional breakdown hit so hard for Thug. He saw another creative being crushed by the machine, by business decisions that left real lives in pain, and that empathy, that need to help, was what pushed him to tweet in the first place. He wasn't trying to start a fight. He was trying to end one before it began. But sometimes even good intentions turn into bad headlines. The industry started buzzing quietly. Executives, A&Rs, and producers started talking. Did Thug and Breezy really fall out? Is there going to be a response record? Will we ever get another collab? Meanwhile, fans kept digging. People found old footage of Thug and Chris performing together back in 2021, laughing, joking, vibing on stage. They clipped that against the new viral moment. 2 frames, 2 energies, then and now. One video said family, the other said fracture, and that contrast became the storyline the internet couldn't let go of. By the end of the week, Young Thug finally broke his silence. He didn't drop a long statement. He didn't do an interview. He just posted one sentence on X. Sometimes love look like space. That one line shut down 1,000 rumors. It didn't confirm or deny anything, it just showed maturity. It told the world that not every disagreement needs to become a war. And in that moment, people remembered something. Young Thug isn't just an artist, he's a survivor. He's been through legal battles, street politics, label drama, and he's still standing. That kind of strength doesn't come from ego, it comes from learning when to let silence do the talking. Chris Brown didn't respond publicly, but 2 days later, he posted a clip from rehearsal, a dance practice video with the caption, "Working, always." No drama, no shade, just focus. To most people, that was his way of saying, "I'm good." Behind closed doors, though, things were still tense. Both men had camps, friends, crew members, and managers who all had opinions. Some wanted them to squash it immediately. Others said, "Let it breathe." When emotions run high, the people around you can either fix things or make them worse. But here's where this story takes a hopeful turn, because despite all the chaos, both Thug and Breezy share one thing: they don't stay down for long. They both know how to rebuild. They both know how to move forward. And that's why fans are still holding out hope. Hope that the same two men who gave us Go Crazy might one day do it again, not just on a track, but as brothers. Meanwhile, Kevin McCall, the man whose interview accidentally sparked all of this, got more attention than he's had in years. His podcast episode became one of the most watched clips of the month. People started streaming his old music again. Some called it a comeback moment. Others called it closure. Whatever it was, it proved something. In hip-hop, every story connects. One man's pain can open another man's purpose. One small tweet can turn into a global headline. That's the world these artists live in, one post away from peace, one clip away from chaos. And maybe that's what this whole situation really shows. It's not about who shouted louder or who looked tougher. It's about what happens when loyalty meets pressure in an industry built on perception. Chris Brown and Young Thug have both spent years fighting to prove they're more than their mistakes. They've both built legacies that reach far beyond one argument. And even if this viral moment looks bad now, history has a funny way of healing things. Because at the end of the day, the music still connects them. The same chemistry that made Go Crazy can't be erased by one bad night. Real respect runs deeper than a headline. As the clip continues to circle the internet, new fans keep discovering it like it just dropped. Comment sections still buzzing, blogs still refreshing. But if you listen closely, not to the shouting, not to the noise, you can hear something else underneath. Growth. Two men learning what it means to move past pride. Two artists realizing that sometimes the only way to protect a friendship is to step back and breathe. That's the part nobody posts. That's the part the algorithms don't catch. Because while the internet wants beef, these two might be building something better, peace. And maybe one day soon we'll see Young Thug and Chris Brown back on stage together, doing what they've always done best, turning chaos into music. Until then, that 10-second clip will live on, a reminder that even in a world full of cameras, real emotion still hits hardest.